Let's go to Revelations 12 real quick. Okay? Let's read the 10th verse. Read it.
Revelations chapter 12 verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of the brethren is cast down.
The accuser of the brethren is cast down. So when Christ was crucified, Satan had no more entrance into the throne to accuse the brethren like he did Job. It also tell you in the book of Jasher, he did the same thing to Abraham that led to the death of Abraham's wife, Sarah. Read.
Which accused them before our God day and night.
And he used to do it day and night. Every day he would go before the throne. It was another person he would accuse to try to take down. He's been trying to take us down since the beginning. Why? Because Adam had power and dominion over the earth. And through Adam's fall, Satan got power over the earth. So if the children of Israel come back to the Most High, it takes his power. His power diminishes. So he have to accuse the Israelites day and night against the Father and empower the heathen nations so that they can continue to worship him and uphold him so that Lucifer or Satan can have the power in the earth. Read.
Verse 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
And they overcame him. This is how we can overcome him. By the blood of the Lamb. Christ's blood. Read.
And by the word of their testimony.
And by the word of their testimony. Read.
And they loved not their lives unto the death.
And they loved not their lives to the death. That means they care more about the Most High than their personal lives. And see, you notice Lucifer's kingdom feeds that insatiable appetite of you having a great life in his kingdom. You notice that? But those that were following the Most High rejected his world, like Christ rejected his world. Okay? Read.
Verse 12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them.
Go ahead.
Woe to the inhabitants of the earth.
Woe to us, the people that are living on the earth. The angels start rejoicing when Satan could no longer come before the Father and accuse our brethren. Read.
And of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
The devil hath come down because he know he have a short time. So because his time has been cut short, and it's ticking on him, and it's a matter of time before the Most High sets his kingdom up in this earth with Yeshua, he's going to try to do a total extermination or annihilation of God's people. And it started back really in 70 AD. I was mentioning yesterday that there's no such thing as a post and pre-tribulation. We have been in tribulation since Christ's crucifixion. There's no post and pre-tribulation. Ever since Christ was crucified, Satan hath constructed a mentality towards destroying God's people since that day. And that leads us to the destruction we're dealing with right now as a people. I'm in Revelations 12. Read.
Verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth.
Now when Satan seen that he could no longer go before the throne of the Most High and accuse the brethren. Read.
He persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
He persecuted the woman that brought forth the man-child. And when you go into the first verse and the second verse of Revelations 12, you see that woman had 12 stars. They started persecuting the 12 tribes of Israel since Christ's crucifixion. The disciples was martyred, and everyone that stood for right, who was Israel, was tactfully being destroyed by Satan and his minions. Who did they use? The Roman Empire. Who is still doing this? The Roman Empire. The Jewish people today are from direct bloodlines of the Romans. They are direct bloodline of the Romans today. Read.
Verse 14. And to the woman were given 2 great wings of an eagle.
And she did what?
That she may fly into the wilderness, into her place.
So she ran into wilderness. She ran into Africa from her place. Read.
Where she is nourished for a time and times and a half a time from the face of the serpent.
So now she had to run for protection, which is Israel, to be nourished and protected from the Roman Empire. So what happens once the Romans find these people? Every place they go, they set up their eugenics program to try to destroy and kill the people, but they cannot do it until they first demoralize the people. Now let's bring this into just the American realm right now. During the 60s, you had a thing where the people understood that there was a serious racial tension in America, so to speak. I don't want to get too outlandish here. There was a war, a racial war, culminating in America. The children of the slaves were rising, and the governments had to come up with a plan to demoralize or to destroy them. But see, this plan started well before the civil rights movement in America. That's the thing that everyone points to, but they don't point back to history in 70 AD when the Romans were slaughtering us and killing us back then. They don't point to what happened in Africa when the same Roman powers was financing Hamites and Ishmaelites to destroy us in Africa. Alright? We can only relate things to what we deal with right now in our modern time. But it led up to our people beginning to revolt in America in the 60s. We understood that there was a program to destroy the people. You had Brother Malcolm, who understood that in order for our people to survive this onslaught, the only sensible thing to do was to separate and allow us to govern ourselves so that we can protect ourselves. So that's positive. We will not be a thorn in society and come against your society. We will govern and police our own people. Malcolm had it right mentally. Why? Because with that, you cannot destroy the people. You can't come in and bring programs that would destroy the families and kill the people. You cannot shoot them with vaccinations and poisons and kill them. You cannot police them and use the law to destroy them. So he understood this. But at the same time, you understand, you had Martin Luther King. So they had to pay their guy that can influence against this movement, the Black Panthers and the Malcolm X's. So believe it or not, and a lot of people don't know this, the Jewish people funded Dr. Martin Luther King originally. There was no such thing as a black president of the NAACP, which is supposed to be a black organization. There was no such thing as the NAACP, no such thing as a president of an NAACP until like the 90s. So the whole time you thought that the NAACP was for black people, it was ran by Jewish people. So what they did was divide and conquer. They set up Martin Luther King. Nonviolent movement. That's a perfect type of movement if you're trying to destroy your people. Okay? And they were planning to get the people to become docile. And also, they needed some internal fighting amongst the people at that time. They needed, now the aim came off of the governments and powers of Satan that was destroying them, and then you had public arguments where Malcolm was attacking Martin Luther King and Martin Luther King was attacking Malcolm. And then at the same time they orchestrated the CIA to start bringing drugs all into the neighborhoods to destroy the people. Heroin, the poppy seed, marijuana, the same time. Okay? Then a war broke out. Vietnam. Now the poor people have to be drafted and go out and die. Now the young men cannot defend themselves during this period and protect their own interest. They have to go out and fight and die in a war that means nothing to the people, to their own people. All these things were culminated at the same time. A destruction of a people. It's the same thing the Romans did back then. So while we're busy with all these things, drugs and all these different elements that are destroying our people, we're being flooded in the airwaves with alternative lifestyles. The free love movement, bringing forth promiscuous lifestyles, drugs, Then the welfare program, empowering the woman over the man. All these things are aimed towards a people in the 70s. All right? Now, I'm bringing this forth so I can show you how we got to where we got today and understand that it's the powers who've programmed us to be like this. Instead of us coming together under the Most High in Christ, we forgot where the fight was. We forgot who we were. Satan accomplished this. He accomplished this feat by now paying our leaders to sell out the people. Jesse Jacksons and the Al Sharptons, which were once great civil rights leaders for the people and stood for the people, turned to the other side and gave up the people for finances. And then, in order for them to continue their finances, they had to push the programs that the government was using aimed towards the people to destroy the people. Now they started pushing Planned Parenthood, which is really eugenics, the actions and works of abortion. So they would get all these fundings to kill their own people. They started pushing all these programs that would destroy the children of Israel. And now we're living in the residual effects of this, where the people are now downtrodden. They don't know from where to start to come together. Everyone is separated and dejected. No one understands right from wrong anymore. Now, Satan can now do a total onslaught on the world. He can now destroy the world because the whole world has become demoralized. No one is together anymore. No one knows up from down, left from right, right from wrong. So now the hedge is off the earth. So because of this hedge that have left the earth, now Satan, the whole earth is Satan's playground to destroy, including us. And that brings us back to the eugenics program. And I'm going to bring this all the way around. The eugenics program was set up by this witch and lesbian named Margaret Sanders. Okay, she was linked to Aleister Crowley, a top Satanist. And she's what you call the mother of Planned Parenthood, and she came really out of England. All right? So they had a plan to destroy what they would call the black race. But it's deeper than the black race. All right? They found a gene that links to the children of Israel. And the aim is to destroy people with this particular gene. All right? Now, there's a guy that I met about 2.5 years ago. All right? He was also on the Alex Jones show. His name is Boyd Graves. And he died last year. May the Lord rest his soul. But he was living with AIDS for about 15 years. Well, they claim he had AIDS, but he found the patent to cure himself. There's a patent on the book, on the books of the U.S. patent that show that they have a cure for AIDS. But they will not let that cure happen within the earth.